What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So big news yesterday from Wildcard. Finally some details about ARK Survival Ascended, and they were some pretty big ones. If you haven't read them, go ahead and read their crunch. It's on their website or their Discord, but we're just going to talk about the major one that I thought: no cryopods. So this is a pretty massive change for ARK. I think most of us kind of forgot how to play the game without cryopods, or what it was really like. Before then, cryopods came out with Extinction, and before that, the game was almost like completely different. And I think I'm actually pretty excited for it to go back to that. Going to be a lot of changes with the meta when ARK Survival Ascended releases. The biggest one I think will be caves. Right off the bat, you pretty much like can't really build in caves because you can't get dinos in and out, so there's not really a purpose in having a base in there. Maybe to store your loot, but yeah, you can't really take your dinos in or out for PvP. So you won't be able to really build in caves until you can get a teleporter. You will be able to get teleporter from the island Hard Dragon, but that is actually a pretty hard boss, so it might take a while for people to do. Oh, and I definitely need to figure this dino out. I have no clue about it. But so yeah, that is the main thing. Is base locations I think are going to be changed up a lot. People are going to revert back to like the older base locations. Like I remember people used to build like on these, like Stonehenge over here, and a bunch of kind of different base locations than they typically build now. And the other big thing is raiding is going to be so difficult for raids, for caves at least. So keep that in mind. Another big base spot I think will make a big comeback is obelisks. People build here now, even with like teleports and stuff, but as far as a main base location, I think the obelisk will actually make a pretty good comeback. With you have the water all around on some of them. That allows you for like water breeding underneath, and then they only have the couple of entrances leading up to the actual plateau. So obelisk, one of the main base spots I would actually plan on building here. Pretty decent spot, I think. So if we continue around the map, I mean, it's not like I'm a genius saying these things, but pretty much any base location high up in the air is going to be what you're going to be going for. Like the Volcano is actually a semi-decent base spot. I've seen a lot of people build here in the old days of ARK. Like we're talking 2017, 2018 when I first started playing. It's not terrible. It is like a 6x area, but I do think like this is one of the ones that is going to make a comeback. There will be some minor changes to the map, as far as I could tell from Wildcard's post, but they actually said they didn't really feel the need to overhaul like the map that much, or like cave entrances, so don't plan on there being too much difference. And yeah, pretty much anywhere up in the open. I remember having to raid like plateau bases up here on the edge of the volcano, and of course these other three mountains on like the far side of the map are going to be a major base spot as well. Harder to get to. Kind of most of them have like a spiral pathway up to them. But if you could just spam off the top here, you'd have a lot of room and at least have some sort of protection than not playing straight on like flat ground or something. So the alpha pillars are definitely going to make a comeback. Not a bad spot. Plus they're in like the middle of the map, which makes them pretty easy to base off of. Another spot to look out for. Okay, and personally, I think Carno Island is going to make a huge comeback for a couple of reasons. So you can build inside of the cave and put all your nice loot and everything in there, and then you can build on the outside to make a massive breeding base, which will, you can just defend the whole island like people used to back in the day. I think this will be one of the more coveted spots, because it has like two defensible areas. You can either breed inside, if you're going for like mutations, then breed outside if you're wanting dinos to go out and PvP with. As far as like attacking this, I am really interested to see what happens here. These caves are almost going to be impossible to raid without cryopods. Keep in mind, there's no downloads either, so you can't like put a transmitter in here to download, because servers will be closed off for the first few months. So people just like spam turrets in this water entrance. I'm not really sure how you would even go about raiding that. There used to be a lot more rocket running and things like that, but yeah, you can't really rocket run in the water here. And so if you can claim one of these caves early, whether that's like Ice Cave or Hunter Cave or Carno Cave, I really don't see you getting raided if you build a half decent wall in these bases until server transfers open up. and maybe people can kind of figure out how to get dinos in the actual caves themselves. So definitely the meta is going to be like building a main base inside a cave and then having a separate breeding base for breeding dinos so they can get in and out without having to be stuck in your cave the entire time. Kind of how it used to be a long time ago in ARK. Okay, as far as Ice Cave goes, I would bet that they're making changes to this cave. It is way too OP, especially with like cryopods disabled. This is like impossible to raid. It literally is impossible to raid without cryopods. If people build like a decent wall, and you might say like, oh, you can just tech rifle the wall down, but if you just put the turrets on the ground, you can't tech rifle them. And you can't like soak them with a player. Literally an impossible spot to raid. So Ice Cave is, as always, going to be a very popular spot. Highly contested right off the bat. I wouldn't be surprised if people spawn right into ARK Survival Ascended and just run over the Ice Cave, put some foundations down, and try to do the same thing they do on like MTS and stuff. Blue Obelisk, another decent spot. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of bases here. That's nothing new. People put teleporters here back in the day, but as far as a main base spot, I think it's somewhat alright. This snow biome is actually going to be pretty popular, I think. If you're like an OG ARK player, you probably remember that people used to build over here all the time. It's particularly like this land bridge you can build off on the end. I fobbed a few bases on here. Let me turn my render distance up so we can just see everything. There we go. Alright, so yeah, this land bridge, not a bad spot for like a starter base, as well as these icebergs over here. This one is actually pretty decent. It goes straight up, so it's harder to attack. A little bit of room on the top, but not like too much. And of course, the classic 1010 iceberg where people used to build all the time is definitely going to make a comeback. I remember there being main bases on here. Alpha tribes are built on this 1010 iceberg. It's actually like a half decent spot. People are really good about like raiding from the sky now and like building up into bases, so you got to be a little more careful about that. As well as the Pearl Caves. I think Pearl Caves are going to make a comeback. You will be able to obtain Basilos and soak with those, so as long as you have some kind of defenses against the Basilosauruses, you should be alright. But there are so many Pearl Caves, and they're going to be another one that's kind of hard to raid without cryopods. People are going to use like squids and probably turtles, but you can only go so far without being able to throw dinos inside a base. I'm actually really excited for these changes. I think that it'll be great for ARK Survival Ascended to grow with the meta just like ARK did. So you start off kind of in a more primitive state, and as the maps come out, you're able to progress more. Let me know what you guys think is going to be the best base spot for ASA and your thoughts on that. We'll have to catch you guys in the next video. Peace, my dudes.